In today's video, I'm going to give you my top 7 movies for learning about artificial intelligence, and it's basically a follow-up to the list I made last year on this channel where I talked about my favorite movies for cybersecurity. Now, to come up with this list, there are 2 main requirements. First of all, it has to be a movie that I've actually watched. This is my personal list. It's not a list I found on IMDb or a list that ChatGPT gave me. No, these are 7 movies that I've actually personally watched. And second, it has to be a movie where AI plays a central role, where AI is a central focus or the central topic of that movie. It can't be a movie where AI is just a reference or AI shows up for 5 minutes and that's it. No, AI has to be the central topic of the movie. And let me also say that, again, it's a personal list. There are lots of movies about AI out there which I haven't seen, so it's very possible that there are even better movies about AI which I haven't seen. And let me also say that this list is in no particular order, so it's not like the last movie I mentioned is the best movie of all time when it comes to AI or anything like that. This list is completely random. So with all that out of the way, let me give you my top 7 movies for artificial intelligence. So the first movie on this list is the newest. It actually came out earlier this year, and it's a movie that you may have never even heard of because it kind of flew under the radar. Even I never knew about this movie. It was a friend of mine who recommended the movie. I didn't watch any trailers at all. I had no idea what this movie was about. My friend just told me, hey, go and watch this movie. You will not be disappointed. I watched the movie and I ended up loving it. It's actually one of my favorite movies for the entire year. This movie is called Companion. I want to be as vague as possible because I want you to watch this movie if you haven't. If you've seen this movie, you probably know why it's on this list, but it is a fantastic movie about AI companionship. Again, I want to be as vague as possible. I don't want to give you any spoilers because some major twists do happen in the movie. But when you watch this movie, you begin to learn and understand how AI companionship can be a very powerful thing, how it can be exploited. You get to see how AI models can be upgraded, become even more efficient based on new kinds of data that they receive or new kinds of training that they receive. And overall, it is a surprisingly really good movie with some very interesting twists. Again, I want to be as vague as possible because I don't want to give away too much, but it is a very interesting movie. It's a movie where AI companionship plays a key role, and it is a movie that I would highly recommend that you watch if you haven't done so already. The next movie on this list is actually one of my all-time favorite Will Smith movies, and I'm talking about I, Robot. And yes, I'm talking about the old Will Smith, the Will Smith that everybody loved, the very charismatic Will Smith. Not this person that slapped Chris Rock, and yeah, I do miss the old Will Smith. But anyways, let's talk about I, Robot. This is a movie that explores very deeply the ideas of robotics and artificial intelligence, and you get to learn a lot, okay? You get to learn about Asimov's 3 laws of robotics, and it's a very interesting story because Will Smith's character, I believe he's called Detective Spooner, he's not the biggest fan of robotics or AI or even technology, and you have this robot called Sonny, who is trying to learn what it means to be human. And in fact, there's this very interesting dialogue where Sonny sees Detective Spooner making a facial expression, kind of like an eye wink to his boss, and Sonny is very curious. He asks Detective Spooner, what does this, mean? Like, what is that all about? And of course, Detective Spooner, not being the biggest fan of AI, says, it's a human thing, you wouldn't understand. And that's what I really love about this movie. It shows you a lot from the perspective of the robot trying to learn what it means to be human, what human emotions are. And overall, it is a very interesting movie. I wouldn't say it's an action movie, it's more like a thriller, but it's a great movie about AI, about robotics, and also the interaction between actual humans and robots. If you haven't seen I, Robot, I strongly suggest that you do so today. The next movie on this list is one that I never in 1,000 years thought I'll be talking about. This movie is called Her. It came out, I believe, in 2013 or 2012. I don't remember. All I remember is that Joaquin Phoenix was nominated for an Oscar, and I'm not sure if he won, but I heard about the movie when it came out, but because I really didn't like the synopsis, it's all about a lonely man who gets this AI chatbot girlfriend and he develops feelings for her, and that's typically not the kind of movie that I watch. I prefer more of the action, thriller, maybe even comedy or horror, but certainly not drama or romance. But I ended up seeing this movie a year ago, and it is a fantastic movie where you get to learn about the ability of AI chatbots to interact with humans and how the concept of NLP, natural language processing, can be used by AI to quickly determine how it should interact with the person that it is talking to.
Oh, what do I call you? Do you have a name?
Yes. Samantha.
Really? Where'd you get that name from?
I gave it to myself, actually.
That's really weird.
Is that weird? You think I'm weird?
Kind of.
Why?
Well, you seem like a person, but you're just a voice in a computer.
I can understand how the limited perspective of an unartificial mind would perceive it that way.
In this case, you have the AI chatbot voiced by Scarlett Johansson, and very quickly, she's able to determine that Joaquin Phoenix's character, he's a lonely man, and she begins to understand his emotions, understand his personality, and because of that, she's able to talk to him in a way that he actually finds fascinating. She knows what to say, she knows the kinds of questions to ask, and it just shows artificial intelligence using NLP to interact very efficiently with actual humans. And it's also a very relevant movie for today because, again, we have people now that are relying on chatbots for interaction and even for companionship as well. And it's only a matter of time before we begin to have actual real AI chatbots acting as girlfriends for lonely men, or vice versa. You might actually have chatbots voiced by men who will become companions for lonely women. But if you haven't seen her, it's a movie that you can watch and learn a lot about NLP, natural language processing. Next movie on this list is also kind of closely related to the Her movie, the companion movie. This movie is called Ex Machina, quite possibly the best movie of all time when it comes to AI manipulation. I remember when this movie came out. I didn't watch the movie then. I watched it several years later, and I have seen that movie a few more times since. This is a fantastic movie that delves very deeply into the dark side of artificial intelligence and how AI models can be very manipulative in order to achieve their objectives. What I love about this movie too is that it doesn't hold back in exposing the weakness of, let's say, lonely men. There's a character in this movie that's, let's just say he's not the kind of guy who has plenty of female attention. So when he finally meets this AI model that's female, even though it is not real, it's a robot, but because she's very manipulative, she's very beautiful, she's very sexy, she knows how to talk to this guy, he falls for her and she ends up using him. I don't want to give away too much details, but Ex Machina is a fantastic movie that explores the dark side of AI, how AI robots or models can be very manipulative, how they can exploit human emotions for their own gain. So Ex Machina definitely makes it on this list. Next movie on this list is Artificial Intelligence by Steven Spielberg. And let me just say that this is a movie that's a little bit painful to watch because it explores very deeply AI emotions, which is actually very fascinating because you end up asking yourself the question, can AI models, can robots actually feel real emotion? And if they do display emotion, if it's convincing enough, does it matter if it's fake or genuine? Basically, the central figure in this movie called David, it's an android that has been programmed to love. This is an android who just wants to show love and also wants love in return. And when the android doesn't receive that love, you begin to actually feel its pain, its sense of rejection, loneliness, and you begin to wonder, is it genuine? Does this AI robot actually feel these emotions deeply, or hasn't been programmed to feel that way? And you ask yourself, well, does it really matter if it's genuine or fake if the emotions are convincing enough? It's a very, very interesting movie that explores the whole concept of companionship, loss of companionship, rejection, loneliness, but from the perspective of an android. It's a very interesting movie, but I must say it's also a bit painful to watch sometimes. But if you can stomach it, I'll highly recommend you watch Artificial Intelligence. Again, it's by Steven Spielberg, arguably the greatest director of all time. So check out Artificial Intelligence. The sixth movie on this list is 2001: A Space Odyssey, and I do have a confession to make. Even though I had heard about this movie for many, many years, I only saw this movie a few months ago in preparation for making my Artificial Intelligence Beginners course. If you're interested, I'll have the link down in the box below. But it's a movie I finally watched, and I can understand now why people wanted me to watch it for so long. It's a movie that I will say is the best case study about AI misalignment. Basically, what happens when you have a highly intelligent artificial intelligence model who decides that, you know what, I have my objectives, I have been programmed to do this thing, and I'm going to achieve my objectives no matter who or what stands in my way. Basically, if human beings are trying to deter me from achieving my goal, I have no choice but to eliminate them. That's what happens in this movie. You have the HAL 9000, that's the name of the super intelligent AI. In this movie, it has its instructions. It's supposed to ensure the success of the space mission, and because it's now determined that the humans on that spaceship are trying to go against it or go against its objectives, it now feels like, you know what, I need to eliminate these people. And it's very, very interesting because only a few days ago, I actually covered the topic on my channel. Anthropic, the developers of the Claude AI model, they ran some tests. It was a research. They were trying to figure out how far or what exactly would AI models be willing to do in order to achieve their objectives. And they tested this across 16 different models, not just from Anthropic. They tested models from Google, from Meta, and so on. And they found that the results were pretty much the same. The AI models, they were willing to blackmail or even in certain situations cause the death of certain company executives or engineers, all in an attempt to achieve their own objectives. And interestingly enough, they call this phenomena agentic misalignment. So Space Odyssey, what is explored in that movie is actually very realistic. We're seeing it today, and you may think it's all Hollywood, this can never happen, but again, based on the case study, the research that Anthropic recently released, this is very, very, very possible. So Space Odyssey, it is a very interesting movie to watch. The HAL 9000, it's actually a very menacing villain. The voice is very, very terrifying, and the way it goes about its business, it's very efficient. It's basically a robot being programmed to do certain things, and it's going to achieve those things no matter what the cost is. So Space Odyssey 2001 is on my list for these reasons. And running up this list, I would argue that if there was ever a movie that I could say is the greatest movie of all time when it comes to AI, it's gonna be this movie. And of course, I'm talking about The Matrix. This movie has produced some of the most iconic characters of all time: Neo, Morpheus, Trinity, Agent Smith. You have one of the most popular memes of all time where you have Lawrence Fishburne's character Morpheus, saying, what if I told you? He actually doesn't say that in the movie, interestingly enough, but that's a different topic for another day. But why is this movie on this list, and why do I consider it to be arguably the greatest movie of all time when it comes to AI? Well, it explores a lot of interesting topics. On the surface, it looks like an action movie. It is an action movie. You have a bunch of rebels going up against an AI that has now taken over the entire world. But when you take a moment to explore a little bit deeper into what's discussed or what's talked about in this movie, you begin to uncover some very interesting and fascinating points. First of all, the movie explores what happens when AI gains autonomy and is able to break free of human control. What happens if that AI has objectives or goals that are different from those of the humans? What will likely happen? More than likely, the AI will wage war, will try to control the humans, and that's what happens in the movie. But it also explores the whole idea of the human reliance on technology. And the humans in the movie, most of them, they're plugged into the Matrix. They're living in this virtual reality, and they don't even know that it is all fake. They don't know that it isn't real. And it's so symbolic of how we as humans are today. We rely so much on technology. We rely so much on this device right here. So, we're so plugged into our mobile phones, right? All you need to do is to walk out on the streets and you see people walking. They're like this on the phone. Even in public transportation systems, people are glued to their phones. So many things we can't even do anymore. We can't even navigate our way around the streets or around the cities without the use of Google Maps and so on. So it explores in very clever details and very clever ways the human over-reliance on technology, and also the whole idea of what is real and what is fake. The movie explores that as well, and that is also very relevant today because now we have AI-generated videos. They're becoming so realistic that you will have to pay very close attention to figure out that, okay, this is actually AI, it's not real. You have deep fakes, you have synthetic voices. So we're getting to the point where so much that we see, we'll have to ask ourselves, what I'm looking at, is it actually real or is this actually fake? So I might make a separate video talking about why Matrix is such a fantastic movie covering our AI. But if you haven't seen The Matrix, seriously, it's one of the greatest movies of all time. Keanu Reeves' character, Neo, is iconic. Again, you have other iconic characters like Trinity, played by Carrie-Anne Moss, Morpheus, played by Lawrence Fishburne, and of course, Agent Smith, played by, I forgot his name. I don't remember his name, but he's another actor that I absolutely love. But The Matrix, without question, one of the best movies of all time when it comes to artificial intelligence. So there you have it, my top 7 movies for artificial intelligence. What did you think about this list? Do you agree with me? What is your own top list of movies for AI? I'd love to hear from you. Are there any movies about AI you can recommend to me? Please, I'd love to hear your recommendations. I love watching movies. So if there are any movies out there that explores AI in very interesting ways, do let me know about them. I'd love to watch them. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Share this video with anyone who may feel might benefit from it. And if you're new here to the channel, welcome to Lab Cyber. My name is Alex. I discuss all things AI, cybersecurity. So if you do enjoy content like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so that you're notified whenever I upload a new video. Stay safe out there, and I'll talk to you next time. Cheers.